Hello and welcome to It's All About You, the best show about you on the internet. I am B. Dave Walters, writer, life coach, and talk radio host. This is episode number 89, Motivation. Motivation. Because as of the time of this recording, I guess in exactly 4 minutes, it will be New Year's Eve, December 31st. 2014, and I just got done recording an episode of the radio show about that. So pending where you're seeing this, you might see a link to the radio show there also, where I just spent 2 hours talking about motivation and what it takes to basically get yourself up and moving. So since I just spent 2 hours talking about it, I'm only going to talk to you for about 15 minutes here and add a couple things to it, because this is definitely one of those situations where it is a article, video, radio show topic. Because as I shared with you in the last video, this time of year people are making their resolutions. They're making this whole list of things that they say they want to do that at the end of the day they probably will not do. Basically, a list of resolutions in most cases is just a list of things that are not going to happen. So what is it going to take for this year to be different? What is it going to take to motivate yourself to get you moving? So one of the things that I covered a few things in the radio show, like how to change in an instant, basically how to get rid of the things that are holding you back, like how to get rid of old negative memories, old negative patterns, old negative habits. So it's worth listening to the radio show just for that, just to show you how to change literally in an instant. But one of the things that I wanted to get across is there's basically only 2 things that motivate all human action. 2. And that is to either gain pleasure or to avoid pain. Now, this might not seem very poetic when you hear it, to think that it's like, oh no, I do this because I love my family. I do it because I care about my friends. Yeah, and that's true. But loving your family and loving your friends feels good. You get a positive payoff from that. And it's actually possible for people that have been wired from their own unresolved baggage, issues, and trauma from the past, that actually even bad things can start to feel good. But that's how people get stuck in cycles of bad relationships, or anytime that there's a relationship where you know both people are miserable, but they stay there. Or constantly manifesting the same bad kinds of relationships, or staying in a job that you hate without even looking for a new one. This is because, to a certain degree, you're still getting a pleasurable payoff because it's appealing to something that is like deep-seated and unresolved from the past, right? So there's something that still needs to be released, something that still needs to be forgiven, which we also talked about on the radio. So here, what I want you to know is when you're confronted with anything, when you're trying to make a change, you just have to ask yourself, what is this going to gain me, or what is this going to cost me, right? Pleasure and pain, gain and loss. Look at everything through that lens. And the issue is you've got to have a stronger thing that is pulling you forward than is going to keep you standing in place. Like again, in the mornings, this is an example that I gave. When the clock goes off and it's time to get up and work out, I want to stay in bed. I want to sleep longer. I love sleeping. But I have to motivate myself to get up, because nobody outside of you can motivate you. No one. But the good news behind that is that you have the power to motivate yourself, and no one can take that away from you. Nobody can stop you once you're moving. Let's remember that an object in motion tends to stay in motion, but an object at rest tends to stay at rest. So if you're having trouble getting going and doing things that you want to do, you have to ask yourself, what is the payoff of this that is going to be more powerful and more compelling, right? So if I don't want to get up because I want to sleep 15 more minutes, well, what's more valuable? Sleeping 15 more minutes, or being able to look in the mirror and really liking what I see? Or knowing that I confronted my own inaction and my own inactivity and my own laziness and I overcame them? Which is always very difficult to do, because you're not competing with anybody else. There's nothing out there that you're up against. The only person that you're competing with is the person that you see in the mirror. You don't have to be better than anyone else. You only have to be better than yesterday. Okay? So if you're having trouble keeping these resolutions, the first thing you need to do is that you make this list of things that you want, and you can make whatever list that you like. Ask yourself why. Why do I want this? Okay, you want to lose 20 pounds, but, for what? What's losing 20 pounds going to get you? How are you going to feel when you lose 20 pounds? All right, you want to make more money. How much more money? Specifically, exactly what do you want? Always make these things, specific, measurable, actionable, right? And even then, once you have these things and list it out, why? Why? not just because you're supposed to, right? Like if this is something that you've had as a resolution for more years than one, if this is the exact same thing that you wrote down last year, then I would ask yourself, do you even really want this? Or are you just writing down your shoulds? Because your shoulds don't happen. You know, Tony Robbins talks about that a lot. You don't get your shoulds, you get your musts. Musts. When something has to happen is when it happens. And I shared with you before, earlier this year, I had to confront the fact that I had things that I'd written down as goals again and again and again and again, and they hadn't happened. And I had to admit I hadn't done anything to make them happen. So you have to ask yourself, is this something that you're willing to commit to take action on? That you're willing to do something every single day towards? And it doesn't have to be a huge, overwhelming thing. You just have to be in action constantly. Because if you're in action every day towards this thing that you want to be, do, or have, it will show up. Like, I guarantee it's going to show up. And you're going to be able to enjoy the process of having it happen. So, when you want that extra slice of cheesecake, what's it going to gain you? What's it going to cost you? And then you can be making a choice consciously, so you don't have to beat yourself up about it. If you say to yourself, okay, wait a second, I've been very strict on my diet. I really believe that I can afford this slice of cheesecake when I'm out here with my friends, and I'll make sure that I do extra few minutes of cardio tomorrow. So that's a deal that you've made with yourself, and that's legit. That's not just because people always like let themselves off the hook, like, oh, I worked out today, therefore I can eat whatever. This was a mistake that I used to make all the time. I would be very dedicated with my workouts or very dedicated with my eating, but very rarely was I very dedicated with both, right? Because it's easy to let yourself off the hook. And just a side note about the fitness thing. Always make sure you give yourself a cheat day. In any of these goals that you're trying to set, give yourself a cheat day. Because remember, willpower is not enough. Willpower will lose to temptation 100% of the time. Willpower will hold out for a little while, but temptation's like gravity, and it pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls until it wears you down, okay? So you have to commit to something that you can live with. But remember, this is a promise that you're making to yourself. Integrity is keeping the promises you make to yourself. Like we've talked about before, that's the foundation of self-love is integrity, because you have to have trust and respect before you have love in your relationships with other people and in your relationships with yourself. So if you're constantly telling yourself you're going to do things that you don't do and you're constantly letting yourself down, then it's hard to cultivate that sense and that feeling and that experience of true and genuine love for yourself. Because when you have it, then you will know what you deserve and you can act out of what you deserve. Right? And it's easier to keep yourself going because you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to get up and work out because I deserve to feel healthy and powerful and strong. I deserve to have a sense of accomplishment of being able to do something that I could not do before. Okay? Now I'm checking my time. We're good. All the time in the world. Right? But this is something that you have to do for yourself. Okay? Your why has to be strong enough to pull you forward. Now, how does this all connect to the law of attraction? Because it always comes back to the law of attraction. Remember, the law of attraction is like gravity. It is always at work. Constantly. It is not something you turn on and off with a switch. It is always going. So if you want to know what you're manifesting, look around at your life right now. Look around at your circumstances. Like my friends like to say, look at your life, look at your choices. That is what you are manifesting. That is what you are attracting. And even when you truly get yourself into alignment with what you want, when you have a vision for what you want, you know what you want, you know why you want it, you have a plan to get it, and then you take action on it every day, it's going to take some time before things change because you've had your entire life to manifest these exact circumstances, to manifest exactly who you are right now. And there's nothing wrong with who you are right now. There's nothing wrong with your current job. There's nothing wrong with your current car, your current house, your current life, your current income, your current relationship status. It's absolutely perfect. And you are absolutely perfect to be the person who had to get the life that you've got right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with you. But if you want to be, do, or have something else, then you need to start taking some different actions, okay? And if you find that you've had trouble getting going in the past, check two things. One, make sure that your why is strong enough. Because if your why is not strong enough, it's not going to happen. It won't stand up against the temptation of doing literally anything else. Okay? That's the first thing. Second of all, make sure that you're giving yourself permission to truly want it. Because you might really want something bad. But if you're hung up on what will my parents say, what will my friends say, what will my family say, if you get all these external things, then it isn't going to happen and you'll be stuck standing still. Because at the end of the day, you are going to get out of this life what you get out of this life. You will grow into whatever you make yourself, okay? And at the end of the day, you will either be proud of your accomplishments or you will be disappointed in the things that you didn't do. And a lot of times when you get into some of the heart and flowers, new agey aspects of the law of attraction and things like that, and that you just need to intend powerfully. Yeah, you do need to intend powerfully, but you also need to get to work. And I would submit that if you are truly intending powerfully, you'll want to get to work on it. You won't be able to sit still. You will want to be doing something. You will want to be working. You will want to be creating. You will want to be in action, and you will enjoy the process. So, again, the hallmark of a good goal, just so you know you've got it about right, is it should be about 60% exciting, like 40% terrifying, right? When you think about it, you're like, ooh, yee. You know, if you get that feeling, you got it right, just about right, okay? It is something that should keep you up late and wake you up early in the morning. It is something that should pull you towards it. You shouldn't have to force yourself. And if you're really having to force yourself to pursue something, then quite frankly, it's probably not the right goal, and that's okay. That's okay. You can change. You can change at any time. I shared with you way back when, actually I might not have shared this with you, at least not in a video. We talked about it on the radio. I wanted to do a marathon, was training, got hurt. Came back next year, confronted my fear of getting hurt again, started training again, and realized midway through that I just didn't really want to do this. Not really. My motivation was it was like a test of manhood, you know, just to see if I could do it, if I could make myself embark upon this training and stick with it. When I found out the answer was yes, and after that, the running the race was secondary. I just didn't want to do it, so I didn't. So that's okay. You can give that up. Now I'm going to say something else with the time that we still have here on the video, because we did talk about this on the radio, and I highly recommend you listen to the broadcast that is linked with this video, because I went way into depth on this. But if you have these goals, you might ask yourself, should you tell everybody or should you keep it to yourself? There's multiple schools of thought on this. So my answer is simple. If you were the type of person that if somebody kind of doubts you and kind of laughs at you and is a bit of a naysayer, and that motivates you to try harder to disprove them, then by all means tell the world. The world's full of haters, and there'll be plenty of people that are going to mock you and laugh at you, and then you can amaze them when you perform. But if you're the type of person that's really going to break your mental game, and really make it hard for you to perform, and really make it hard for you to move forward, then don't tell anybody. Keep it an absolute secret. Just work diligently, and then one day everybody's going to look up and be like, oh my God, look at you. How did you, create your own business and become a multimillionaire? It's because you were doing it the whole time, right? Even now, over this holiday, I can tell you, I'm spending my days doing online classes, putting my plan together. I'm not even focused on New Year's Day because that's just a day. It doesn't matter. Every day is a new year. Every day is a new life. Every day is a chance to start over and squeeze all the juice out of it and get the absolute most that you can. So just remember, always be in motion. Do something every day. And if you miss a day, if you fall off, if you backslide, no problem. Just get back on track. Don't turn it into grounds to beat yourself up, okay? Don't turn it into, oh, I'm so terrible, I'm so bad, I'm so stupid, I know I shouldn't have tried this, blah, blah, blah. Let all that dramatic stuff go, all right? Just focus on what you got to do and get it done. That's it. What's it going to gain? What's it going to cost you? And I leave you with this as we get ready to wind this up. When I was teaching business, I would tell my students all the time. I'd give them an assignment, and they would say, I don't want to do it, as people always do, right? It's like, I don't want to do it. And I would always tell them the exact same thing. You don't have to want to do it. You just have to do it, right? That's it. Embrace the difficulty of it, okay? Don't get hung up on easy. Only weak people are preoccupied with everything that is easy. You can be efficient. Efficiency is just being smart, okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But embrace the fact that it's a challenge. Embrace the fact that it is hard. Embrace the fact that it's going to bring something else out of you and bring the best out of you. Because then you will get to the end of this year and next year and 10 years from now, and you will be amazed with what you have accomplished, okay? So, you're great, and I love you. In 2015 will be the absolute best year of your life if you are in motion and if you make it that way. And I'm here to help. Let me know what you need. You can find me anywhere. B. Dave Walters. Visit my website, about.me/B. Dave Walters. You were great and I love you. I hope 2014 was great, but I hope 2015 is much better. Bye-bye.